Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey, welcome everybody to the ultimate Cleveland sports show here on WKYC Channel 3. I'm Adam the Bull, and the Browns are still looking for a head coach. We have some guys that we like, but there's one candidate that all of us don't like at all. Who's that one candidate that we cannot have be the next head coach of the Browns? We'll give you our opinions coming up next. Earl.
Hey, Cleveland. I'm Earl the Pearl. David Njoku is a free agent. Should the Browns run it back with number 85 one more year? I'll tell you what my answer is later on in the show.
You know what it is. It's G. Bush, leader of the Kool-Aid Mafia. Hey, the Buckeyes ain't in the national championship, but we got some guys in the Big Ten. Indiana versus Miami. We'll preview the national championship coming up next. McNuggets.
The Cavs have one elite skill this season, and that's being inconsistent. As soon as they start to play well, they play an egg. And when they start playing poorly, they start playing better. They have 2 games this weekend against playoff teams, including the defending NBA champion, Oklahoma City Thunder. So we're going to tell you when we come back in on Tuesday what our discussion about the Cavs is going to be. But, Bull, let's start with the Browns and the one head coaching candidate none of us want.
Yeah, well, we each made our own pick. We don't know what the other guys picked. I'll start with mine. Now, my guy, thankfully, has not even been mentioned at all. I don't know if he's been interviewed by anybody. And we talked in the YouTube version of our show, and if you missed that, go back and check it out. We talked about Todd Monken, and he would be my second last choice. But my absolute last choice is Mike McCarthy. I do not like Mike McCarthy. I thought he was a fraudulent coach that got carried early. I mean, think about this. His entire career, he was a head coach for almost 20 years between 2 stops. Now, he won a Super Bowl, and you can't poo-poo one Super Bowl. But he had Aaron Rodgers in his prime his entire time in Green Bay, and then he had Dak Prescott, and you could argue, okay, well, Dak hasn't had success anybody else. Okay, that's fair. But you had almost 20 years with a Hall of Fame quarterback and Dak Prescott, who, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but he's a very good quarterback, been one of the best quarterbacks, and they've won once. And for the most part in the postseason, he's been terrible. I want nothing, zero, zilch, zip to do with Mike McCarthy, guys.
I couldn't agree more, man. I don't like Mike McCarthy. I think he was a steak eater. He was a dude that was just coming along for pregame meals, getting all the steak, but then they was on the sideline. He wasn't even on special teams and wasn't even paying attention to the games. My thing is, I agree with you with that. I'm going to go a little different route. We talked about it on YouTube. Todd Monken, I can't do it.
No.
I can't. Listen, anybody, if you got problems in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, how you got problems with Lamar Jackson and he's a good quarterback? What you going to do when you get here and we don't got no proven quarterbacks?
Yep.
The offense, the rift in the locker room was, hey, the players wanted to move on from Todd Monken, and Harbaugh said, no, we got to have him. I knew all I needed to know when they said, people, word around campus is his attitude is a little more grumpier Kevin Stefanski. I said, oh, no. That's not what we need. That's not going to work for me. Todd Monken, ironically, they've brought him in for a second interview.
Yeah.
So we might be a little upset over here at Project
Let's
Stop
hope
Live.
not. Earl?
All right, so for me, listen, the Browns fired Kevin Stefanski because they wanted change. So if you want change, you cannot go get a bootleg version of who you just got rid of. Dan Pitcher. I don't want anything to do with Dan Pitcher. Dan Pitcher looks like Kevin Stefanski. I heard he got the same temperament of Kevin Stefanski. He almost is Kevin Stefanski 2.0. If you go hire Dan Pitcher, you might as well should have just kept Kevin Stefanski to begin with. I get it. OC under Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor is a McVay disciple, and the Bengals, they got powerhouses on the offensive side of the ball. But no, I haven't even heard you rave about Dan Pitcher. And that plays a part into why I don't want Dan Pitcher at all. No, I am out on Dan Pitcher. He just seemed like a very, very quiet, laid-back guy. We just dealt with that. We need somebody that got a little bit more energy.
The only thing, Dan Pitcher since he didn't call plays before he was a quarterback coach. So, like, I don't have a great feel for him. But I will say the one thing in his favor, he and Joe Burrow have a great relationship. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard not to get along with Joe Burrow.
He goes to all the cookouts.
Right, but
we got a great relationship.
But Lamar
with Joe.
Jackson,
He the flyest dude in the NFL.
I'll take Dan Pitcher over Todd Monken or Mike McCarthy.
Oh, yeah,
No, that is true. That is very true. That is very true.
Yeah.
If those were the three options,
Yeah.
welcome Dan Pitcher to the city of Cleveland.
Great hire.
You know,
Great
we want to
hire.
show you around the city, take you
Yeah.
to get something to eat, something to drink. You know, we'd be cool with that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
All right, Mike.
Well, our next
Yeah.
topic involves a certain free agent of the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
David Njoku's been a staple here for a number of years. I believe he's in the same draft class
That's Myles Garrett.
as Myles Garrett.
Same
So
first round.
2017, yeah, first round. That was the year they had 3 first-round picks. Miles, Jabril Peppers.
Nice.
And
Good job out of you. 'Cause
David
you weren't
Njoku.
here at the time.
He's been a staple since, but he is now a free agent this summer. Earl, what would you do with number 85? Would you bring him back for another year, or would you let him walk in free agency?
So despite the injury-riddled last 2 seasons that you know, production was not there, I would actually bring David Njoku back on a 1-year deal. This is somebody that's been a cornerstone staple in your franchise since he's been here. He's grown with the fan base. He's become a fan favorite. He had his best season in 2023. I think he had over 800 yards receiving. And he's just one of those guys that show up on a football field. You know, he gives us maximum effort every single time. And then you look at the state of the Cleveland Browns roster. Harold Fannin, great rookie year. But we all know, like, that sophomore season for any rookie is an unknown. Do you really, really want to go into 2026 with Harold Fannin as your only legit threat at tight end? You look at the Browns' needs. We need offensive linemen. We need wide receivers. Andrew Berry already said we're spending a lot of resources on the offseason on the offensive side of the ball. With your needs being so plentiful in other areas, can you really afford to sign a marquee tight end? And if you look at the projected free agent tight ends, none of them fits the mold of how the Browns typically go about business. We got a lot of draft picks, so you could possibly draft one there. But again, we have so many needs. So David Njoku, he's been here for a long time. Last 2 seasons, he's been hurt. But somebody that I think has really, really, you know, been great in the organization. It works for you and it works for him. You give him the opportunity to get healthy, go out here, improve his own stock so that he can move on and earn some more money and play elsewhere if he wants to. And then it gives you just a little bit more security at that position. And if you stabilize everything else, maybe you can go address his replacement in 2026.
Yeah, listen, I like what he offers in the locker room. I like the fact that he is one of your locker room guys who is a great turn. He used to be one of the guys that at one point in time said he wanted to be up out of here. Mm-hmm. Turned himself into a city guy, turned himself into a really good locker room leader. When you got a new coach coming in, you might need that to have guys buy in a little bit and have them on your side. I think one of the things that we need to talk about is, hey, give him a little prove-it deal. Give him a deal where, you know, give us a little hometown discount if you really want to stay. And what we want to see you do is come back in the best shape of your life. Like, I think his body is betraying him a little bit. I think he needs to kind of, you know, come back with a lighter frame. I think he's played at the heaviest that he's ever played at the last couple of years. Come in, get your body right over the offseason. And like you said, Earl, we could use those picks on something else, linemen or receivers, other than have to replenish the tight end room. If you know you got a guy with good work ethic as team leader and guys likes the city, I'd bring him back on a team-friendly deal if we can get him, short term.
I 100% want David Njoku to enjoy his time somewhere else. It is time to move on from David Njoku. First of all, what do I need to? I got nobody else on offense. I don't have a ton of cap space. I don't want to spend. I mean, I know Harold Fannon's not getting paid anything. I don't need to spend any money at tight end because Harold Fannin, as a rookie, was fantastic. Yeah, some guys have sophomore slumps, but I'm not worried about it. He is a good enough starting tight end. I'm not spending money. I know he won't cost a ton, Njoku, but I'm not spending money on a tight end when I don't really need a tight end. And if I were going to spend money on a tight end, why would I spend it on Njoku? I could spend it on guys like Kyle Pitts or Isaiah Likely, who are free agents, who I'd much rather have than David Njoku.
Would you cash out Pitts and give him a big deal?
No. No, he's only played 1 year. I would wait a year or two on that. I would wait after his third season. But I got to spend money, so I'm going to spend some draft picks and money on wide receiver and offensive line. I got to spend that's where trade. I got to focus on those positions. And with the limited cap space, the Browns will. Right now they're over the cap. They'll get under it by adjusting contracts. But you're not going to have that much cap space. So I got to be careful with every dollar I spend if I'm the Browns. And I got to spend that on much bigger positions of need rather than like to have a second legit. If I'm the Browns, I'm not spending any money above the minimum at tight end. And if I'm going to, I would go after Isaiah Likely, who's got way more upside. He's younger, and I would do something like that. Kyle Pitts is going to cost a lot of money, so I'm not going to do that. But I would definitely, and Travis Kelce's a free agent, but he ain't coming here. He's either staying in Kansas City or retiring probably. Yeah. So
on that,
yeah,
I'm just looking at Spotrac's projected market value for upcoming free agent tight ends. It is just a projection. There's nothing 100% certain about this. According to Spotrac, Likely and Njoku will cost right around the same amount of money.
Yeah, there's no way I'd want
If it's
to.
within $1 million for the two, I'm taking Likely 100.
I know Njoku. I know Njoku is not as old as I think he is because he was young when he got drafted. How old are the two of those guys?
Njoku's 29.
Likely significantly younger.
Yeah.
Njoku will be 30 this year.
Okay, and Likely?
He's younger.
Likely
Couple
is,
years.
once my computer loads, 25.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I don't know that I'd
We'll
spend
be
on either of
26
them, but
next
if I was going to,
I don't argue against what Bull is saying, but I
Yeah.
just have the mindset of a guy like Likely and Kyle Pitts, they're going to get paid because they are young tight ends. And, you know, to me,
But Likely hasn't done anything to this point.
well,
So.
he's done enough to
Not
have
this
his
year,
name.
though. He did. He
Not
was-
this year,
yeah.
but if you look at the last couple of seasons, he's done enough to make his name ring out. In my opinion, this is nothing against Harold Fannin. I think Harold Fannin is going to be amazing for his career.
Yeah.
But we've talked about it on his show. We've heard about it. He's just not built like your traditional tight end, and you still need to have tight ends in there that can block. David Njoku is a physical tight end. He can block. He's familiar with what's going on, and he won't cost you a lot of money.
Right, but
I just would feel more comfortable when it comes to having depth at the position, having him back in the room, if it costs you little to nothing.
I could sign a blocking
real quick,
tight
what
end
do
for
you
minimum salary, though.
Or what do you think when you say little money? What do you think he would get in free agency?
Man, I don't know, a 1-year deal based on the last 2 years when it comes to injury and production. Maybe give him something 1 year, and I'm just throwing this number out there, $2 million with another $2 million in incentives.
I think he'll get more than that.
He might get more than that.
Spotrac has him at 10 mil.
What's that?
Oh, that's a lot.
Spotrac has him at 10 mil, which
Yeah,
is
no
once again
chance I'm paying
just
him
to
10 million.
progress.
Oh,
Just
the-
to project.
I don't know that he's getting
Oh,
10
the devil
million,
is-
but
the-
I'm
that-
But again, Mike, that's
the
just
devil is a lie.
that's
I
just
can't
me-
do it.
That's me just throwing a number out
Yeah.
there because I'm looking at it from the aspect of it's team friendly and it can help David Njoku. He did get hurt the last 2 years. His
Yeah.
production wasn't there, so whatever his projected market might be, he could be able to possibly improve that.
Yeah,
Who
I
knows,
don't see it.
right?
He's
Who
30
knows?
years old,
I
though.
thi-
Like
I think-
nobody's giving him big money.
I think
don't
his-
think he's getting 10 million.
I think his body is breaking down.
Yeah.
I think tight end, people don't get it. Tight end is a very physical sport.
It is.
To play because you got to not only be able to run, you got to be able to block, but you're getting tackled. Plus you're physical. Yeah. And the Browns in the running game they've been a predominantly running game while he's been here. So yeah, like I feel like he's lost some athleticism.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what the new coordinator and the new head coach feels because the Browns run 13 personnel, 3 tight ends. With Stefanski, I don't know necessarily.
Final thought. All right, go
I'll
ahead.
say this too. We talk a lot about players and coaches and, well, why would they come to the Browns and if they got other options? David Njoku is one of those few people who will flat out tell you he loved the city of Cleveland. Yeah. He loved playing for the Browns. This is an opportunity to where you got to sometimes pick people who's going to pick you as well. And so it might be a situation to where, like I said, this is just projection. A 1-year deal for David Njoku to be the number 2 to Harold Fannin ain't gonna hurt nobody.
If it's $2 million, I could live with it. If it's $10 million like they're projecting, no chance. All right, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they've been consistently inconsistent at the halfway point of the season. They got the Sixers coming up and some winnable games down the line. We'll discuss it next, right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on WKYC Channel 3. All right, welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on WKYC Channel 3. Guys, the Cavs have 2 games between now and the next time we're back on the show on Tuesday. They'll play the Sixers tonight, and then on Martin Luther King Day on Monday, they have an afternoon game at home against the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder. What will the conversation about the Cavs be, you think, Earl, when we return to the airwaves on Tuesday?
Well, I don't know what I think it'll be, but I hope it is that the Cleveland Cavaliers have won the next 2 games, and they've done so playing in a similar fashion board that they played in on Wednesday. The Cavs have been very, very inconsistent. I still got that bad taste in my mouth of being out rebounded by 20 by the Utah Jazz. It was one of those games, in my opinion, to where they played down to their opponent. But this team needs to be better defensively on a consistent basis, and they definitely need to rebound basketball much better on a consistent basis. Evan Mobley needs to step up and be more consistent. And so, there's a lot that's been said about this team over the first 42 games of the year, and I don't believe that a switch can just be flipped, but their best bet is just to really tighten up, play better, lock in, and believe in who they are, because this is a very, very talented basketball team. And hopefully what happened in Wednesday's game will transfer over to tonight's game against the Sixers, and then Monday on MLK Day at home against the defending NBA champion.
Bush?
Man, listen, I hope that the news headlines is that the Cleveland Cavaliers have finally woken up and decided they're going to play up to their potential.
Yeah.
And I want the city should be on them. The coaching staff should be on them. The front office should be on them, because this team, for the up and down play, is not acceptable for this level of roster. You got max guys on here. You got a superstar in Donovan Mitchell. You got 2 max guys in Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. You got young guys like Jalen Tyson, who's hungry out here. DeAndre Hunter, they made a move for at the deadline to put them over the top. And these guys have not consistently led up to it. These games are going to be a very good barometer, especially the OKC game, and showing you how you go about it. Remember last year, the OKC Thunder came down to Rocket Mortgage Arena, and that put everybody on the map. It was like, oh man, that game against the Thunder, it was one of the matchups where everybody talked about it and how hard the Cavs played. And the Cavs that day became a household name and a championship contender.
Yeah.
Maybe you might want to remind everybody that you guys can play on that level, and it's a good opportunity to see what you can do against two contenders coming up this week.
I will say that outside of the Utah game, they've 10-game stretch, last 10 games or so, they've probably overall played their best basketball. If you take out the Utah game, that was a bad loss. But they've had some really good wins in the last few weeks. If they beat the Thunder, I know it's home. It's probably a little bit of a challenge for Oklahoma City having to play East Coast time, even though we're not on the East Coast, but we're in the Eastern time zone. I think it's like a 3 o'clock start, Martin Luther King Day,
2:30.
right?
2:30.
2:30. So
Weird start.
That's an early start for them. But they're the best team in basketball. I know they had that little blip on the radar when it seemed like they were losing to the Spurs every day.
Yeah.
They still only have 7. They still only have 7 losses. They've won 5 in a row again.
Right.
They've won 8 of 10. I mean, they've been, since the start of last year especially, the most dominant team we've seen since probably the Warriors. So they're always a tough beat, and they always play hard. And if they win that game,
will it change your perception?
I think, again, it doesn't
On the
prove
Cavs.
anything, but I think it's the best we will have felt. That will be the start. Now, I'm not that confident they're going to win, but if they do, I think they'll win tonight against Philly.
Yeah.
Again, who knows, because they played crappy against Utah. But if they beat Philly, and then win, and especially because that game is on national TV, it's Martin Luther King Day. If they win that game, I think we will all feel a lot differently about the Cavs.
I think tonight will be very interesting because we don't know the status of Darius Garland and Sam Merrill for tonight's game. But if they somehow find a way to beat Philly without those two there, it tells me a lot about the mentality of this team
Yeah.
and actually if they turned that corner. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
You know, that'll be a huge win against OKC.
Yeah.
But can you go back-to-back and beat the 76ers on the road
Right.
when more likely than not you won't be at full strength tonight when you play
Yeah,
that
and
game?
against is there any chance either of them are going to play against the
No,
Thunder?
both ruled out. Both are out.
For the Thunder or for the
Oh, no. For tonight.
But what's your
Thunder,
opinion for the Thunder? Do you think this?
I doubt Merrill plays Darius. We have no inside
We just don't know
information.
what's his. We don't
no
know.
idea.
We'll probably know more tonight about what's going on.
Kenny's
with
going to have to talk
I
tonight,
guess.
pre and post game. We'll know a little more. Yes.
All right, folks. When we come back, yes, we're all disappointed, as you mentioned earlier, G. Bush, that the Buckeyes are not playing for a national championship. Another Big Ten team is, and I don't think it's a team. If you would have told people this 2 years ago, you would have said, is this basketball we're talking about? We'll get to the national championship game next on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on WKYC Channel 3. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show here on WKYC Channel 3. Guys, the national championship game is coming up. It's Indiana against Miami.
Yeah, not basketball, man.
Yeah.
Not basketball. Indiana. But this
Huge
is
favorite.
This is the new wave. Nowadays, with NIL and the transfer portal, you can remake your life in 1 year. You get
Yeah.
a good quarterback, some linemen, you get you some playmakers, and you can end up like Indiana. They play, Miami. And look, this is going to be a good opportunity to see Mendoza. He was in play for the Browns a little bit, some would think, but I think he's squarely played himself early to the number 1 overall pick with the Raiders. Carson Beck was a name we knew a couple of years ago from Georgia, is now in Miami. And a guy you could watch, Francis Mauaga, the left tackle from Miami, is a guy to look out for. He's on big boards. Browns need a lineman. He may be a guy that could be a future first-round pick. So check him out a little bit. Your thoughts on I'll take
Who are you going to win?
Indiana.
I got to give
They gonna
credit.
cover?
What's the spread?
What is it, 8.5?
7.5.
7.5.
No, it'll be a
Don't
close
cover.
game. No, they don't
So
cover.
Miami with the points, Indiana wins.
Yes.
Earl.
So I gotta tip my hat. Gotta give credit where credit is due. You know, it took me a long time to buy into Indiana football. Like, the Hoosiers are really this good? Are you kidding me? And so just looking at what Fernando Mendoza has done with leading his unit, especially over, since from the Big Ten championship to now, that's pretty darn good resume, if I would not say so myself. You look at the Miami Hurricanes, man, I think they are playing very, very inspired football. They were one of those teams to where, it came down to a last-second decision by the committee if they were even going to be a part of the college football playoff or not.
Committee got it right.
And all they've done is kind of like wreak havoc since they've been here.
Yeah.
A former NFL player, Jason Taylor, is their defensive line coach, and their defensive lines is one of the most dominant units in the entire country. And so, just looking at this game, you got two programs who nobody expected to be here at the beginning of the season. Carson Beck, the Georgia transfer, looking to kind of get some redemption against Mendoza in his hometown of Miami, Florida. So it should be really, really fun. But I'm taking the Hurricanes in this game. It's been a long
win
to
outright?
win this
Okay.
game. It's been a long time since Miami have been in a situation to where they can taste that national championship. Ohio State kind of put an end to all that, but it looks like, at least for this year, the U is back.
I had a question for you guys. So the game is at Hard Rock Stadium, which is where the Dolphins play. It's in Miami. You have Miami, the University of Miami, playing in Miami.
It's a home game.
But we know Miami doesn't necessarily have the world's strongest fan base. Indiana, in their 2 college football playoff bowl
huge.
games, has traveled like crazy.
Yeah.
Do you expect a bigger home field advantage for Miami or for Indiana? And Earl, if you're going to mention that Mendoza's from Miami, that also plays a factor.
I would say Miami. Like, I think it's going to be a big advantage for Miami. I get it. It's Miami, Florida. Sports is not the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But if you've watched any documentary on the U, the city of Miami absolutely adores that college football team. Like, you talk about from the Michael Irvin days,
Yeah.
To the Clinton Porter, Sean Taylor days, the Willis McGahee days, even to the David Njoku days when he was there.
Yeah.
That city truly, truly gets behind that university. So even with Mendoza being from there, I think that the fan base is going to be heavy Miami Hurricanes.
I think it's going to be pretty even. I think the Indiana fans have been traveling like crazy. They're not going to stop traveling now for the
That is
championship.
true.
I'll take Indiana to win. I'm with you. I think they win but don't cover. I think it's a closer game than that to grind it out. This is one of the best stories in the history of college football, I think.
Yeah.
If Indiana wins, a team that was nowhere 2 years ago, to go undefeated, they'd be, 16-0 if they win this game? Beyond remarkable. A great job by their coach, Cignetti. I mean, he's been absolutely amazing. Thank you all for joining us. We'll talk to you next week on Tuesday on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Peace.